Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll discuss to you on how to add record in our MariaDB using Ionic and PHP. So let's start. Okay, so in our home page, we'll be adding a floating action button here so that it will give us an access to the new record form. Okay, so we'll be adding a floating action button after the ion list or after the container. So ion fab, then slash ion dash pub. Then inside of it is the fab button, ion dash pub button, then slash ion dash fab dash button. Okay. Save. Then let's check the output. So we have the button here. Now we will be adding an icon of the floating action button. So inside of the ion for button, we'll be adding the ion dash icon slash ion dash icon. And then for the source, we'll be naming that as add, or we'll be using the add icon. And then in here we'll be defining we'll be importing the Ionicons for us to use the different icons. Then add from semicolon Ionicons slash icons. Okay, and then we'll be adding the another property, which is the setup. So return, then the add button. Save. So we have a problem. Okay, so it properly renders. Okay, so let's check our output. So we have a button here, which is the floating action button with an icon, okay, the add icon. Now we're going to move this floating action button at the bottom right corner in this position or location. Now to do that, we're going to add a property of the ion pub, which is the vertical. So for the vertical, we'll be using the value which is bottom, and then for the horizontal, okay, so that will be, the value will be end, the end of the screen. Okay, so there are no issues found. So we're able to move the floating action button to the bottom right corner of the app. So when the user clicks this button, the user will be redirected to the add form. Okay, so to do that, we're going to add the property, which is the href, and then let's say we'll just name that as slash add record. Next is, let's try to click this button. Okay, so we're able to move to the add record. But unfortunately, that page is not yet existing. Now, what we need to do is we're going to add a new page. So we'll be naming that as add record page. So we'll be copying and so we'll just paste and we'll just rename this page. Rename. Then we'll be adding that as I will be changing the name into add record page. That view. Okay, so we're able to change the page. Okay, so we'll be naming this as add record. Okay, then next is we'll be adding a route going to this page. So once the user clicks on the button, the floating action button, it will be redirected to this page. To do that, we're going to open the index.ts and then all we need to do is to copy these statements, paste, and then the route, which is the add record. Then we'll be naming that as add record. And then the home page will be changed to okay, and then after that, we're going to test our application. So let's click this floating action button. Okay, so successfully we're able to move to the second page, which is the add record page. Now we'll be changing this layout. So we'll be adding two text box. Okay, so next is we're going to the add record page. Then of course we'll be changing some codes here. In here especially the container. Then we'll be adding the item, ion item, then / ion item, then ion label, then let's say name, then ion input, so ion input. Okay, let's check the application. Of course we'll be changing this button, or we'll be removing that already. So we have a problem. Okay, so the ion label. So there are no issues found. So let's try to check the output. So we have here so we have one text box here. So we're able to add text box here. We're going to type the name of the student here, then another text box for the address. So we'll we'll be adding another text box for the address. Then the name of that is address. So we can also add a placeholder. Then let's say enter name. Then this one is placeholder. Or just name it as enter, or please input address, or let's say address name for the meantime. Then let's check the output. Okay, so we have the name, the address. Okay, now we'll be adding a button after the Ion item. So Ion button, then slash Ion button. Then the value for that is save or submit. Okay, for the meantime, let's just name it as save. Okay, so we have a save button here, name and address. Now we're going to add the source code for the save button. Okay, so once the user click the save button, it will automatically save the record or save the information you provided here, or we provided. So now we're going to add the event for this is, so add click is equal to save record. Okay, then we'll go to here for the so for the meantime, let's clear that, or let's remove that. So we'll be adding the save record, and for the meantime, alert. Just to test if the save record is really working. Okay, so let's try our application. So try to click the save button. Okay, so hello world, so it is successfully created, or we're able to successfully create the method. Now we're going to add the source code to add the information that we provide to this two text box or input box, the address and the placeholder. Now we're going to bind a variable. So the b model is equal to, then let's say we'll name it as txt name, and in here we'll be naming that as txt address. And then for the setup, I think we need to remove this one. And then in here we'll be replacing that into txt name colon empty semicolon txt address colon empty. Even this one, the add, will be removing that. Then we're going to check if we're able to get the value of the name. So that will be displayed through the alert statement. So this dot txt name. So first we need to test if we are getting the value of the txt name. So there are no issues found. So let's try to type John Smith. So try to save, click the save button. Okay, so there are no information that we get. So we need to refresh first our application. So John Smith. So there are no value for the localhost. Okay, so let's try to save. Let's try again. So John Smith. Save. Okay, there are no value for the John Smith. We need to import first the Ion input, comma, Ion button. Okay, so if the value is not displaying properly or you're not getting the value of the text box, you need to define that first to the components of your application. Okay, so let's try again. So to make it sure, we need to refresh our application. And then so we'll be adding that John Smith, for example. Save. So we're getting the value of the text box name. So the only problem is you need to register that component to the view part. Although you define this text box in here, so you must still register that to the component of the view as a component of the view. Okay, so next is we're going to add the code, the API code that will allow you to save the information that you provided to MariaDB. So what we need to do is, yes, we need to use again the Axios in here. So Axios dot post, then that For the post, we need to specify the URL, then null, and then the parameters, params. Okay. Okay, the URL and the parameter. So the parameter will be, of course, the name, then this dot txt name, comma, the address, then colon, this dot txt address. Okay, then the URL, http colon slash slash localhost slash. Okay, so for the meantime, let's copy the URL of this. Then we'll be naming that as add underscore record .php. Then for the then, of course, we need to specify that. So for the meantime, we'll just copy this portion. Okay, so then we'll just alert that or display the response. That message, then semicolon. Okay, so it must be data. Okay, now we need to create this file, this PHP file, to our project. Then let's open this file, then save as. So we have here the add record.php. Now we'll be changing this source code since this is the source code for the select. What we are going to do is, okay, so we're going to get the value first of the Okay. Then for this, we'll be getting the value for the address. Then address. Then instead of select, we'll be using the insert into TBL student, the columns, then the values. In here, we'll just name that as name, comma, address. And in here, first we need to check the field. So we'll be opening the, for the meantime, we'll be opening the home or the list students.php, and so the fields are name and address. Okay, name and address. And then in here we'll be defining a variable values is equal to array, and then colon name, then variable name, comma, the address, then the value is address, semicolon. And for the values, we need to move that to execute. Then echo JSON encode semicolon array, then message success. Okay, so let's try to check the source code or the output of this application if it will going to work. So reload. So while reloading that, we'll be opening the PHP MyAdmin. So let's try that. John Smith, and the address is California, USA, California. Then let's try to save the information that we provided. Save. Okay, so there is a object or response in here, the object. So in order to check that output, we're going to the home page. Then we'll be opening the PHP MyAdmin. So we're able to add the record since the information was added to our list, the John Smith. So let's try again by adding another information. Let's say Peter Parker. Then the address is New York. Save. Then back. So we're able to add the information for the Peter Parker. So you can sort this information through the, of course, through the API. So if you have a list students here, we'll just add the order by keyword, order by name, sending. So let's try to reload. Okay, so it was ordered properly from A to Z. Now what we are going to do is, once the user save the information, for example, uh, Tony Stark and Washington, the address is Washington, and then when the user clicks the save button, it will automatically prompt the record has been saved, and it will automatically redirected to the list. Okay, to the list. So we don't need to click this back button in order for us to view the save record. Okay, so we have Tony Stark here. So let's try that by doing this. So instead of response data, we'll be adding a condition here. So if response.data.message is equal to success, then it will prompt a message. For the meantime, we'll be using the alert, and then okay, record has been saved. Okay, let's try first this statement. Okay, let's click the add button. Then let's say Bruce Wayne, and the address is Virginia, and then save. Okay, so it prompted the user the message record has been saved. But on our next statement, once the user click the save button, it will automatically redirected to the list. Okay, now what we need to do is we'll be using the router. This dot router dot push semicolon, then slash home. Okay, so let's try to refresh our application again. So let's say the name is John Cena, Florida. Then just try to click the save button. Then automatically, once the transaction is successful, it will automatically redirect you to the list. So it's up to you how are you going to present your interface. But for me, I presented that when the user successfully saved the record, it will no longer prompt the record that has been saved, but instead it will automatically redirect you to the list. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for watching. See you on our